I'm back. More college admissions, the nonsense of college admissions. And today I wanted to talk about something that is sensitive because it's about you. Because I just realized last episode I blamed all of the people in the college admissions space, but I didn't blame the other box of people that exist in this space, and that's all of you. People outside of it, and what's wrong with all of you. So obviously it's mostly kidding around. There's nothing wrong with you. However, there are some things that you are doing, and we are doing as citizens that are making this worse. And I wanted to go through a few of those here today. But a couple comments about last video so that I don't have to make an intermission. I didn't say exactly what I do because I said that when I was giving you the example of the student who I was helping through the process and how many confusing things there are in the process and how the people inside do not think it's confusing and they're wrong. I didn't mention that your guidance counselor at your high school cannot do this. I do this because I'm a private consultant. It's true that I work in one high school. It's true that I'm basically just the college counselor of that high school, but I have a very unique job. Guidance counselor can't do all that. Another quick comment is, why are the people inside so guarded all the time, right? You have to understand that they don't want to get roasted by people. And I'll give you a quick example. If you say anything about college admissions when you work in the system, you are going to get roasted. What does that mean, roasted? So I'll give you a quick silly story. I'm from a working class background. I feel like a certain kinship to that sort of group of students, and I want them to do well. So when I was working at MIT, I saw some stats. I was like, wow, these stats are pretty good. I think the number was something like 67% of people admitted came from a public school. Don't write that number down. It could be totally wrong, but it was something around that topic. So I used to give these information sessions. If you've ever gone to a university, there's usually an admissions counselor gives an information session. And I just turned mine into a stand-up routine because it's boring as hell. So I'd make jokes and say things. I thought it went pretty well. But one day I said, oh, something cool I just ran across today was, turns out 67% of people admitted last year went to a public school. Isn't that great? Yes, sir, in the front row. Yeah, just wondering if you could just elaborate a little bit about why MIT has a specific preference for public school kids and, seems to really disadvantage private school kids in the process. See, dude, it takes time for you to understand. I was naive. You think dad who spent 50 grand a year wants to hear that story? No, he doesn't. My bad. Clammed up, never going to say anything again, right? And that can be about any topic. That's why they won't tell you anything, because they don't want to get roasted. So those are two quick comments. Oh, last quick comment. I'm standing around like this. If it annoys you, it's because I'm in a standing desk. I don't want you to think that I'm not prepared. I don't want you to think that I'm like one of those men who just wings things. I'm doing this in an unscripted way on purpose because it has to be something that I like. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it. Right. And I remember one time I wrote a 15,000 word piece about what's wrong with the US News and World Report college rankings. You're going to hear all about this next video. Oh my God, there's so many things. And so I gave it to my boss. This is when I was working as a private consultant. And they were like, well, what's this for? You think our clients want to hear this? No. And by the way, I'm going to edit all of this stuff down to make it sound like corporate speak, because this is a corporation. It's not your hot takes, Chris. This is a corporation. And it was so demoralizing. I'm never going to write a piece like that again for anyone ever again. But it's not their fault. It's my fault. Because if I'm going to be like this, it has to be just for me. Okay, those are the three things I wanted to tell you. All right, what's wrong with you? Nothing's wrong with you, but what's wrong with people on the outside? The problem with people on the outside is that you will not stop caring about prestige. You won't stop it, even though I'm going to tell you that the rankings are nonsense. You're going to tell me, Chris, it's not as if these things don't mean anything. Don't try to convince me that it's the same thing to go to San Jose State or to Harvard. Okay. No flames at San Jose State. It's the first school that came to my mind because I'm from the Bay Area. Okay. No flames. However, I'm not going to tell you that, right? But your obsession with prestige means that every year more and more of the highly selective colleges who have not increased their enrollment for 100 years get more applicants. It used to be that, oh, LeBounty's from California. Where's he going to go? Well, he's going to go to some place around the Bay Area. Okay. In my case, we could just eliminate all of the private schools in the area because my grades were terrible. Then you can eliminate all the UC schools because I didn't even take Algebra 2. And then I found out, oh, you need Algebra 2 to go to college. No one tells you these things. Not blaming anyone. It's my fault. And then so you end up going to a list of schools in that area. That's what normal people did. You went to big state university. Okay, not anymore. If you're from Arkansas and you're a really good student, your mom damn sure is going to tell you that you should start looking at Ivy League schools. What is dude from Arkansas looking at Dartmouth for? Because it's on the list. He wouldn't be looking otherwise. It's on the list. Now he's looking. And because he's looking, he's going to apply. And because he's going to apply, we're going to have 50,000 applicants for Dartmouth in the middle of New Hampshire, Nowheresville. And that doesn't even get you started about the kids applying from China and Europe and South America and all over the world. Okay? You will not stop with prestige. So how do we stop it? I have no idea. But I can tell you the answer is not, we're all just going to keep fighting for these 1,000 spots at Harvard. It's not going to work. There's more and more people every year applying. And you know what Harvard says? Well, we're not changing. So, something's got to change there. And the only thing that can change is you. You have to change. You have to decide that there are great colleges all over the country. Okay, that's number one. The thing that annoys me about it the most is that it's based in the rankings, right? You don't know that the education is better at XYZ school than ABC school. You just think it is because of the rankings. But the rankings are flawed, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay. Another thing that happens is the outcomes are different. I'm not going to tell you that they're not, and then you think I'm a gaslighter. Okay, the outcomes are different. All these people who graduate from these highly selective schools end up in management consulting and investment banking and all these places that you think are awesome. We didn't used to think they were awesome or really know what they were or care, but now we all care because we're obsessed with our kids making a ton of money. I don't have kids, so I don't have to worry about this. You can say, mind your business. You don't know what you're talking about, Chris. Fine. All I'm saying is that it used to be the case that people would go to college and they would study a liberal education. And right now, your blood pressure is going through the roof because I said the word liberal education. Okay? That's the point of college, is to learn a bunch of stuff and then figure out, what you want to do in the future. But none of you want to do that. All of you want the kid to tell you what it is exactly that they're going to do as an adult. And you know damn well that you do not know what they're going to do as an adult. And you know that you did not know what you were going to do when you were 17. But it makes us feel warm and fuzzy inside when Sarah says that she wants to be a doctor or an investment banker or a lawyer or whatever that is like a clear educational path to a job. 95% of positions in the workforce don't have like a direct line to a major, right? And we cannot have every working and lower class girl in America all be beaten into thinking they have to be a nurse, okay? We cannot have this situation where the only job that any young woman who comes from a working class background is told that she should be doing is a nurse. We can't have a situation where the only job that pops into anyone's mind when you see a kid who's like really smart in school and he's good at math, you tell him, go be an engineer. It cannot work this way. Do we need more engineers? Sure. If your son wants to be an engineer, your daughter wants to be an engineer, awesome. But we cannot have a situation where everybody wants to be an engineer and nobody wants to study anything else because those things are scary and they don't connect to a jobby job. Because none of these people are going to keep their major. They're all going to change their major when they get to college, and they have no idea what they're doing because they're 17. Okay? None of you knew the differences between what is the difference between a chemical engineer and an aerospace engineer and a mechanical engineer and a nuclear engineer. Okay, some of those words are obvious, you can figure it out, but you didn't know. And when some kid down the street told you when you were 17, yeah, I'm going to study material science, you were like, what? I don't know what he's talking about. Okay, so I'm going to stop ranting and get into some actual topics of the application, which I promised I would do last time. However, I forgot to tell you that you're also a problem in this, and that we all have to take some ownership of what's happening here. Okay? Rant over. I will see you tomorrow. I promise we'll talk about, well, it's still going to be rants, but it's going to be about the rankings and why. Because I don't want you to take my word for it. The rankings are nonsense, and I'll prove it to you. And please just don't tell me, I know they're nonsense, you proved it to me, but I don't care because that's just the way it is. Actually, we'll talk about that too. Should we even care if it's just the way it is? Okay. Thanks for being here.